Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine, the Shark, and Stryker. Today is our 103rd episode, and we're discussing the 2022 DC comic book miniseries, The Jurassic League. So, let's get things started.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Jurassic.
Perfect way to start. Go ahead, Shark.
No, I was gonna make the same joke.
Well, I guess it'd be the zero there. It's just
like mine, buddy.
Yep, great minds think alike and all. But yeah, the Jurassic League is a 6-part comic book miniseries, which is basically what if the DC superhero team were dinosaurs in sort of a Lost World setting with cavemen and dinosaurs, basically. This is one of the DC Comics elseworlds stories, which put them in various different locations or settings in that, and it's pretty much almost all of them are really, really fun just to see how they do it, with this one being a really unique example of taking like a concept like the Justice League and completely flipping on its head in a way. And like I say, this is actually a mini-series because it is a 6-issue series, basically. We are going to discuss every one of them here, but this one, like the Wario Land 4 episode before it, might be a little bit more disjointed compared to other episodes, because this is our first, but not last, I want to specify, it's not our last episode on a comic book.
Or a book, in that matter.
That too. More on that in a little while.
And also, this will be one of those where we cover 2, for the most part.
Yep, and what a 2 they are, and we'll get to them in a little bit. But for now, the first issue begins with a mysterious spaceship crash landing on a prehistoric Earth as a pair of cavemen end up finding an egg as it hatches to reveal a small blue hand, which, of course, this is the origin of Superman, here called Supersaur, because, of course, he is a dinosaur. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
That or Alilar. That or Alilar. They are from.
Yeah, if only it was Aladar.
Yeah, I got dinosaur vibes from that, but also, hey, it's the story we all know and love, except dinosaur.
Yep. Well, nothing wrong with that, believe me. So,
Yep.
What happens next is we cut to a Bat Walker, who's basically an Allosaurus version of Batman, trailing through the jungle on the outskirts of Growltham City. Haha. If you like puns, there's going to be a lot of puns in this, so that's interesting.
Yeah, thankfully not as much. Oh, sorry, Stryker, if you were saying?
No, that's all I had to say. Lots of dinosaur puns.
Yeah, though not as much, thankfully. They're merciful with their puns, so there's not going to be too many of those walking around. Like, you get a name drop here and there, but otherwise, nothing too crazy.
Thankfully. But the reason Batman, or Batwalker rather, is an Allosaurus here is because they thought of making him a T-Rex, but they thought that would make him too large and fearsome, so they decided on, if they made him like a smaller type of dinosaur, it would actually make him more in line with the other ones, which works out really well, you know?
Yeah, also, the fact that Batman is pretty much a ninja kinda makes it a little awkward when we have a T-Rex as a ninja. Don't get me wrong, T-Rexes are plenty stealthy, especially with the pads on their feet, hunting around, getting their food, whatnot, but yeah, that honestly works a little better. Math?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense that they couldn't go with T-Rex for Batman because they wanted to avoid the whole "I have a big head and little arms" thing.
Oh man. Also, like Bat-Rex, despite sounding cooler, would probably be a little inaccurate. Instead, we got Bat-Saur. Boo.
Yep, another really bad name. But regardless, he basically says with his narration that he's tracking a creature that hunts for pleasure. So that means he's either hunting the Indominus Rex or the Predator.
Or the Indoraptor.
That too. He makes it to a cave that is filled both with dinosaur bones and human bones, culminating in there being a gigantic tree that is filled with dead humans, which, right off the bat, this is not a children's comic. That's one thing we're going to get right off the bat right now. If you're a parent and you want to buy your kid a comic book, this might traumatize him a little bit, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, you're talking to a guy who grew up reading a few comics of Deadpool, so
True.
This isn't exactly as jarring as one would think. But on the other hand, parents and kids probably wouldn't exactly agree.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see what happens. Matt, you're saying?
What was your first clue that this was a graphic comic not made for children? Was it the flies walking around on the eyes that they zoomed in on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or really just the tree of dead bodies in general, really, which amazing stuff. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
That reminds me, like, before he gets to the cave, there's this one image of this, like, parasaur looking inside of freaking Sarcosuchus's mouth, and, like, two things came to mind from that. One was, let me take a look here. It doesn't look like Chomp. And on the other hand, they're, like, probably doing a screaming contest at each other or something like that.
Just
funny.
I definitely can see that. Oh, wow. But what happens is it turns out to be none other than... We see evil laughter. It turns out to be none other than Jokerzard, which is the dinosaur version of the Joker that shows up and taunts Bat-Saur. Jokerzord is a Dilophosaurus, which is pretty clever because, as Jurassic Park has taught us, he can shoot acid in his victims' faces, which is a really clever way of doing it. Let's be real. Doing the Joker venom, having it being literal venom, you know?
Yeah. Though I have one tiny nitpick on the Jokerzard design, the little tuft on his chin, making him have like a goat beard, which is not great. It's not a good look for him. Not my Joker.
It is kind of weird, but you can kind of see why they did it, I guess, to make him stand out.
Yeah.
Basically, Bat-Saur says that Jokerzard seems familiar as the two of them battle each other. They fight each other in some really good and also really violent moments, which, are not mutually exclusive, before Jokerzard shoots acid in Batwalker's face and again, this is the first few panels of the first issue. He stabs Batwalker in the chest with his talons.
Yeah, pretty violent.
Yeah,
remember, kiddies, don't get the comic if you can't handle the gore.
Exactly.
And it's not as violent as what's about to happen.
Oh,
that is also true with the scene we see, because Bat-Saur looks over and he sees a human child crying, and seeing the child's dead parents reminds Bat-Saur of his past, which has his parents basically having been eaten by Jokerzord, and we actually see the two dead Tyrannosaurus, or Allosaurus rather, lying there with their intestines partially shown, which, again, first issue, first maybe or second page, so what does that say?
Yeah, also, like, what's really jarring about this comic is the tonal shifts from, like, one moment where there's, like, blood and, like, shadows and whatnot, and then the next moment where it shows, like, freaking Bat-Saur sitting there with, like, the cartoony eye and the big sad face, like, It's so, like, jarring, and yet it's also kind of funny, in a way.
Yeah. But like I said, the face on the little baby Bat-Saur is so sad. It really is like one of those things that's like, wow, really makes you feel something. Shark, you were saying?
And I was basically gonna mention the same thing, that you have this violent imagery, gory imagery in the background, and in the front you have this little cartoony baby dinosaur crying, but like in a really goofy way.
Yeah.
It definitely
bad, and you can't help but laugh a little.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly. Matt, you were saying?
If you're a Batman fan, you know what's coming. Pull out the "My parents are dead" card.
This is where I watched my parents die. And meanwhile, Ash is right next to him. Huh, I can't see your house from here.
Yeah, exactly. But one other thing is that since this version of Joker killed Batman's parents, that means only one thing. We are watching a dinosaur Elseworld version of '89 Batman.
Nice.
Yep.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Well, they literally can in this case, which we'll get to in a little bit.
God.
But what happens is, of course, Bat-Saur, seeing this, remembering his past, causes him to beat up Jokerzard even harder before telling the child to go away. When he turns around, Jokerzard isn't there as Bat-Saur sets the tree on fire. He roars at the child, who is not frightened of him before they walk off, which you think is a moment of like really badassery, but the real reason we'll find out in a little bit. But we do get one badass moment because we see the panel of Bat-Saur and the human caveman child just walking away from the fire is unexpectedly really awesome looking.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool guys don't look at explosions. They turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
I had to say it. But it turns out that we then cut elsewhere as we see Black Mantosaurus. Boo.
Oh god.
He looks like
Weakest
basically...
dinosaur of the bunch.
Yeah. Thankfully, he's not around for too long, but yeah, he's probably the weakest of the villains, let's be real.
Yep.
He's basically attempting to pull people into the water before being saved by Aquanix, who is a Baronix, which has a really cool design, and the fact that he's still able to control the sea creatures are really neat. I do feel there was a little missed opportunity of not having him able to like control like Mesiosaur, like Plesiosaurs or things like that. That could have been really unique to see him actually able to control other dinosaurs that are also aquatic, but it's still a cool touch.
Yeah. Also, he has a dolphin named Martha instead of freaking
Matilda.
Oh yeah, Matilda instead of freaking Fluke from the Golden Era.
Yep. Well, guess I wanted to change it up a little bit. But
Yeah.
the pair do battle as Aquanix has his sea creatures save the humans as they continue to fight each other. But it turns out to be allegedly a vision from Wonderdon, who is the main reason we are covering this on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yep, now we're getting to the good stuff. She's basically a dinosaur version of Wonder Woman. She's a pretty much a muscular green triceratops living on Paradise Island with the rest of the Amazons, who are all also triceratops. And apparently what's interesting is Wonderdon, because the reason she's called that, they actually were going to make her a pterodon, hence the name. But the designers thought that making her and the other Amazons into triceratops would have been way cooler. And they were 100% correct in this case.
Mm-hmm. She is 100% buff here. Like they absolutely made the right choice changing her to a triceratops because pack mentality, given how Themyscira, the dinosaur island version of Themyscira, is all female warriors. B, tough armor, again, the warrior thing. And C, good lordy, she looks amazing this way. Like, seeing her big stock built for the most part, and yet dainty as well for the most part. This right here was the peak of designs for Wonder Woman as a dinosaur. I can say that much.
Yeah. If only like we got her in one of the DC Universe movies before that ended, but hopefully we'll get another version, and we'll talk about that much later on. Oh, go ahead, Math.
Yeah, we're a bit underselling it. Geredon, or Gedeon, I apologize, I'm mispronouncing this name horribly, who is the main creator and artist for this, designed the characters to be very muscular and broad because, well, dinosaurs, and Wonderdon specifically is particularly broad, and it really looks good in design and seeing her costume and all that. There's just something about her character in particular that is designed very well in this style and universe.
Oh, exactly. And that's not to say anything about the other Amazons who are also all Triceratops, which they're all pretty much a uniform design, but it's a really, really good one, so you gotta give them credit for that.
Absolutely.
Yep. Basically, she tells her mother about all of the visions that she's having and how they're happening more and more, including a vision of the titular Jurassic League, but she can't make out exactly who the rest of them are. Her mother takes her into a temple and shows her the remains of Ares, a god who tried to take over the world. It turns out that the Amazons united the Earth together to destroy him, and after doing so, swore to never raise their weapons ever again. But her mother tells Wonderdon that she's seeing signs of evil in her dreams, and that she's ready to fight any threats to the world. Wonderdon suits up into a version of a familiar outfit, which, okay, I'm going to be honest here, I'm a little biased because of the nature of the podcast. She honestly looks way better than canon Wonder Woman, let's be real.
On which
she
Wonder
is.
Woman design?
Well,
Dark.
we'll see. Just
Yeah, I think the
Wonderdon.
outfit here, because it's more prehistoric, it has more ribs, and because she's a different being, her outfit actually looks like a warrior's outfit. Like this dinosaur woman has been in wars before.
Yeah, I agree.
I definitely, like I say, you kind of got what I was going there, because I was going for like it fits her, I think, more than that. And aside from us being dinosaur sims, But seriously, I think that it actually fits her because it feels more like something that a character like her would basically wear. Go ahead, Angron.
Yeah. Also, I kind of agree on the whole warrior stance that Stark is saying. Like, she is supposedly the defender, the one who will take up arms when all of Themyscira has promised to never do so again. And yet, here she is doing so because she very much wants to do what's right and use that power now she's used to it for good. And yeah, that honestly makes this a more honorable and fitting Wonder Woman for this universe, like hands down.
Matt, you were saying?
Yeah, this is kind of what I was saying earlier. The artist made the characters very broad and muscular all the way through, and it looks really good in this style for a character like Wonder Woman, who has become effectively just the female Superman.
Yeah.
Yep. Stryker, you were saying?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, as someone who actually was never actually a big fan of Wonder Woman, this changed my mind on a lot of the Wonder Woman designs, actually,
Oh, really?
because Wonder Dawn actually was the first one that I actually was a big fan of, to be honest.
Oh. Wow.
Nice.
Nice. Awesome to
Yeah.
hear that. So, what happens is, of course, she heads to her own version of the Pterodon, Thunderbeak, which is her version of the invisible jet, and a really cute touch. She
And it
flies
actually
off.
turns invisible.
Yep, that too. Like I say, it's the little details that really, really are such a good touch. But she flies off as her mother sheds a tear of joy at her. We then cut to another city with a lame pun, Metropolis, which, no, sadly, it is not Metropolis, which means that SpongeBob and Patrick would go hunting for the Dutchman's treasure.
Oh.
Nice.
Nope. And also, of course, there's no my leg there either, so shame.
So many missed opportunities.
Yep. But that's basically the version of Metropolis, where Supersaur is helping his human brethren build homes. Everyone cheers for him, with some children actually happily playing on his tail as he helps them out. And one thing I give credit for is this comic really gets Superman's character down well, you know? And the fact that it's an alternate version of him as a dinosaur, but yet it actually really is a good Superman story.
Yeah, like this nails a lot of the main hero's characters for the most part. Hal Jordan's a cocky hotshot, but he's still an honest garden. The Flash is the Flash. Aquaman is pretty much himself as like, come to me, my brethren, except a little more kick-ass. And even Batman is in character. Like, he's a brooding loner who's getting revenge for his parents. And here, honestly, seeing him go from lone venger to actual caped crusader, it's actually a pretty great touch. I'll give this comic that.
It definitely is. And what happens is Supersaur basically tells his human parents that he finds more of those beasts hiding in the jungle. As he mentions that he doesn't want to fight anyone, but he just want to find out about who he is. He basically sees the remains of the spaceship he came in and wonders about what his past truly is. His adoptive father, who is unnamed here, says about how proud he is of his son. A loud noise suddenly startles them. Supersaur flies off to the protective walls to see what the matter is, and it turns out to be the second reason we are discussing this, which is Giganta, which is a Gigantosaurus version of Gigantica. And basically, she's just like a large dinosaur in like a yellow leotard type outfit, which, okay, I'm down for that.
Or maybe it's just her skin. Like, a lot of these suits here are just their skin.
This is true.
They're basically walking around without anything on for the most part.
That is also true. Shark, go ahead.
Good grief, she's naked!
Exactly.
Oh, classic. But yeah, she's also flanked with Brontosaurus, who is, of course, Bizarro version of Supersaur. The pair of villains claim that the Dark Embryo has called you for his purpose, and that they're there to collect their bodies. And a really fun touch, Brontosaurus speaks with like backwards letters in every other word, which is really a fun touch. I'm glad they did that just to like, you know, put that in the character. And yeah, this is actually the end of issue 1. But it's not the end of the podcast, not by a long shot. Oh,
Yep.
go ahead, Angron.
Also, hearing Dark Embryo made me think of the Dark Star Core from Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Kind of makes me wonder if there's a dino version of Fossil.
That would be very interesting. Well, maybe there'll
Probably
be
will be the
also...
Joker.
Well, probably. It can work, actually, If only
Yeah.
Jokerzard called somebody the mustard of their doom. If only.
Oh god, now I'm thinking of the Condiment King as a dinosaur.
That too is another missed opportunity. But issue 2 begins with Batsaur and his human companion walking through the jungle. The child talks about their parents and their life before what happened, mentioning that the demons came. Bat Walker cannot understand the human's words. It comes out as unintelligible screeching to him.
Hey,
He uses his bolos to tie the mouth of a raptor that is about to attack and eat the child. The kid mentions that the demons they see are not like other dinosaurs and that they come from both the mountain that spits fire as well as underground. In a really funny moment, Badwalker literally roars in the kid's face to leave him alone, but because the kid doesn't understand him, he still is following him. Like, you have like an Allosaurus literally roaring in your face and the kid's just following him because he saved his life.
This kid is not phased. Like, he's getting roared in his face. Oh, damn, she's a girl. Nice. Which honestly is kind of fitting given how Batman has had a female Robin or two in the past. But anyways, let me think here. What I was going to say. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's honestly kind of interesting seeing this version of Robin get roared in the face after losing his parents, and she's just like, I'm chill, man.
Yep. Shark, you were saying?
Yeah, another thing I thought about that scene, how the kid doesn't react at all is, do the roar.
Yeah.
Daddy. Oh, you're dead.
Classic. Absolutely classic.
Good
So-
times.
Yep. So, what happens next is basically all of a sudden an earthquake breaks out as Batwalker uses his rope to see what's going on. We cut back to Metropolis, where Giganta and Brontosaurus are capturing humans to bring to the Dark Embryo. Supersaur attacks both of them as the three engage in battle. Supersaur manages to punch Giganta hard enough to knock her to the floor as the alien rescues everyone and tells them to run for safety. However, Brontosaurus, being the same exact powers as Supersaur, basically they're on the same strength level before the three continue to fight each other. However, Batwalker climbs the wall and sees the three fighting before being in awe of other dinosaurs that are like him. Which brings up a really interesting thing about this, because we have like these superhero dinosaurs mixed in with ordinary like dinosaurs as well as humans in that. It's a very interesting bit of world building. I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting hearing that, which honestly reminds me of this one thing I heard where Dan and Aaron were ranking all the dinosaurs, and like Dan brings up this rant Aaron did one time about like if humans evolved from monkeys, why are there still monkeys around? Reminds me of this here.
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, that's a good one. So, what happens basically next, of course, is that Batsaur saves a human family as Brontosaurus wonders who he is. He basically tells him that he works alone and that he's neither friend nor foe, but of course, Brontosaur manages to breathe fire at him as he reasons that he rescued the humans, so he's not one of them. The tree cat is on fire due to Batsaur's cape. Meanwhile, Supersaur is basically punching Brontosaurus as Batwalker tells the other humans to run before being knocked out. Supersaur flies off to help him, but Brontosaurus grabs his tail and repeatedly slams him to the ground. Sadly, we do not get to hear him say, "Puty God."
Nice.
But what happens, Giganta is the one who manages to get away with all the humans, as Brontosaurus punches Supersaur in the face one more time before they leave.
Yeah.
Yep. We then cut into another creepy moment with Jokerzard being taken by Reverse Flash, here called Reverse Slash, haha, to the pillar of all the bodies, which apparently somehow rebuilt itself, and he actually is given plasma to replenish his strength, and in a really, really creepy touch, some of the humans in the giant corpse tree are alive.
Yeah,
You actually see some people like begging for mercy in that. It's like, oh my god, this is like like nightmarish. Like I could see like IRL, like not IRL, but you could see like the actual canon Joker do something like that.
That's some Dark Souls shit right there, or Bloodborne
Exactly.
at least. Like prehistoric Bloodborne. Get on that, game designers.
Exactly.
Stryker?
So yep.
This actually kind of reminds me of some like anime I've watched. It's like some body horror stuff, or even like Junji Ito at times, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely Junji Ito.
I can definitely see that. So what
Mhm.
happens next basically is that after he's basically forced to drink plasma to replenish his strength and basically revive him. When he gets his strength back, Atrocios Satoris, who's a basically giant carnosaur, approaches them both and says that the dark embryo is coming and that they will bring him back to life. We then come back to Batsaur, who's hanging on for dear life underneath the burning tree. The cave child arrives yet again, and she tries to pull Batsaur out, but cannot do it. As the two of them embrace it seemingly being the end, Supersaur wakes up and easily pulls the tree off of them. Supersaur and Batsaur introduce each other, as Supersaur asks what happened to the caveman's family. The caveman basically tells him where it is, as it turns out Supersaur can speak and understand human, being raised by them, and another really nice touch, like I said.
Yeah, meanwhile,
Yeah.
Batsaur's like, what?
Yeah, like I say, go ahead, Shark.
Yeah, something interesting that I noticed about Supersaur's design is that his face is a bit human-like. Like it's kind of like in
Yeah.
the comics, and it's kind of funny because it obviously is, makes it clear that he's an alien, he's from another world. So, funnily enough, you made the alien character more alien by making him more human.
Yeah. I was going to mention that, but like, yeah, it's definitely jarring. Like, out of all the dinosaur designs, we got Supersaur over here just looking like a dang, oddball Chad, as it were.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. So, what happens next, basically, is that Batsaur still doesn't understand about Supersaur's backstory or that. But Supersaur then stalks to the caveman, who tells him that the demons like Giganta and Brontosaurus basically came from below the ground. Batsaur tells Supersaur about the death of his parents, which insert "my parents are dead" meme
Yeah,
here. Ha ha ha.
Again, this is where I watched my parents die.
Yeah.
Dino.
If only he was saying that to Talking Flower. This is where I watched my parents die, Talking Flower. Onwards and upwards.
I wonder what Goombas taste like.
Classic.
Yeah.
But we then cut to Wonderdon. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
At least he's not selling it to Uktar.
Thank goodness. If Uktar was here, he would be like I don't know what character he'd be the equivalent of, but he would be the worst character bar none. Like, let's just say, any piece of media with Uktar in it is automatically immediately ruined more by having Uktar in it. Let's put it that way.
He'd probably be the Harvey Bullock or maybe the freaking savage caveman guy from the comics, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see. But we cut to Wonderdon flying on her Pterodon Thunderbeak before she sees Giganta taking the humans. She asks Giganta what she is doing, but the giant dinosaur tells her to go away. Wonderdon wonders if these two are the ones in her vision, but seeing that they're hurting innocent beings are not and decides to attack them. She uses her giant bone sword, which also is another really awesome weapon here because it's a sword made of the bones of various animals and that. It's very much Conan the Barbarian-esque in a way, and it is really, really cool.
Yeah, this is awesome. Like, honestly, if Conan Exiles ever did a collab with DC for like Jurassic League, I would be on board with that and be playing that game a lot more.
I definitely can agree with you. But what happens is she then tells Brontosaur to drop the creatures, or she will use her sword on them as well. But of course, the pair decide to attack her as, in another awesome move, she leaps from her Pterodon and slams into the ground in probably the second coolest panel of the comic.
Yeah.
Yep. She says that she did not expect any hostility this quickly, but her mother was right and she is ready to fight for her good. The end of the second issue is probably the coolest one because it ends with Supersaur and Batsaur showing up as the issue ends with like a classic, basically panel of the three of them preparing to do battle in that. Which this ends the second issue. Up, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, I also like how throughout the comic after Giganta gets freaking slammed in the face, she just keeps that like bruise on her cheek. She's just like, it hurts, and it's funny.
Just nice. But now we have to get, unfortunately, to issue 3, which is probably the worst issue, and it's not with its content, it's with its art style, because I have no idea why this happened. For some reason, the third issue completely changed the art style compared to the previous two, and it looks awful. I'm sorry, I am not opposed to art style changes in that for like things getting more serious or darker in that, but number one, this happens only in this issue. Issues 4, 5, and 6 go back to its usual one. And number two, it just is so weird going from like this art style that's been traditional for the rest of it to this completely different one. And it's actually really hard to make out what happens in some panels too because of it. It's all like sketchy and really like grungy in a way. Almost graffiti-esque, I guess you could call it. And man, it is weird.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Let's see. Go ahead, yep.
So yeah, what happened is, like I said earlier, the comic is largely penned by its creator, Juan Gedeon. This issue was drawn by a dude named Rafael Garez. And again, nothing against this guy. Some of his other stuff looks pretty cool in its own nature. His style was not meant for this, and it kind of shows. And it's sort of a late stage Frank Miller style, if you've ever seen that stuff. And that would be pretty cool for like a more comedic comic, I think, but not here. This is way too action heavy. The details are really needed for the action scenes, and it does not translate well in this style.
Yeah.
You took the words right out of my mouth right there because wow.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this definitely looks like Frank Miller stepped in and was like, hey, I could do better, and just starts jabbering everything. But on that topic of it being more comedy focused, I honestly think it would also go for something a little more surreal, a little more edgy, like, I don't know, The Punisher, that sort of thing. But yeah, for Jurassic League, it came close, but honestly, it felt a little too distorted. Like, it felt like Calvin, and it came in and just like went nuts on the freaking drawings and whatnot, and not in a good way, like we see in some of the other Calvin and Hobbes comics.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. Shark, you were saying?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because, as Matt mentioned it, the art style right now is, well, something more for a comedy rather than an action comic. But funny enough, Chapter 3, that's the one that's using this art style, is pretty much only combat oriented. There's almost no story. It's just people fighting in almost the entire thing. And they went with this art style for this reason, or what?
Probably,
yeah, it's so weird because again, it would make sense if it was like the last issue because that's like the darkest one, but it's like in the middle. That's I think what's the weirdest point about it. It's the middle issue of it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Matt.
I think what's most jarring about this too is they have different artists do the covers for each of the issues, and the cover for issue 3 might actually be the best one of them. It looks really incredible. If you haven't seen it, just Google it, and then you get into the chapter itself, and you see this, and it's like, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely a tonal whiplash.
Yeah, definitely. But what happens next, basically, is that in this issue, it starts off in a completely different note because it starts with Green Torch, who's basically a Parasaurolophus.
Yeah,
and
Parasaurolophus.
Thank you. And Flash Raptor, who is a Velociraptor, are busy basically enjoying relaxing on an island before Aquanix arrives with Black Mantisaurus impaling his trident. Unfortunately, it is not Neptune's trident, so SpongeBob and Patrick are going to have to go back to Shell City.
Yeah, or possibly, yeah, it's definitely the trident of Poseidon.
Yeah, but I do like Green Torch's line, "You scared the teeth out of me." if I had any, which pretty decent joke right there.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's something Brooke would absolutely say. Oh goodness, you scared the skin off of me. If only I had any anyways. Yo.
Nice.
Oh man.
But,
I see you out there, Brooks BA. I know you.
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
This is where I put my scare teeth. If I had them.
Yeah.
Perfect. Amazing. Amazing. But basically, Aquanix tells him about Black Mantisaurus and his attack on the humans. Green George says that they can take care of themselves, and Aquanix says that this is affecting all of them. Flash Raptor basically makes fun of his dolphins as Aquanix points out Matilda is healing. All of a sudden, Jokerzard leaps out of the water and bites her before spitting her back out at Flash Raptor, which is like definitely an entrance, you know? Let's say this way, it's not out of the possibility for the Joker to do that if he would have been able to, you know?
Yeah, and to be fair, this is not the worst thing the Joker has done in terms of an entrance. Let's be fair.
Or in terms of a lot of things, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Aquanix leaps at him in anger as Jokerzard spits acid at him. Green Torch attacks Jokerzard, but it turns out this is planned by Atrociosaurus once as he tackles him. Reverse Slash arrives, so the trio of villains and heroes do battle with each other. Aquanix attempts to summon a giant crab, but Atrociosaurus basically rips off the crab's leg and starts beating him with it. And I'm imagining all of this crazy stuff going on above the water with all like the dinosaur fightings. And meanwhile, underwater, Spongegar, Padgar, and Squog are busy discovering fire.
Yeah, also...
Spongegar, fwee fwee. Padgar, fwee fwee. Squog, fwee fwee.
Also,
ahead, sorry.
when exactly is Shao Kahn gonna come in here and be like, fatality already?
That too. But we then cut back to Metropolis as Supersaur tells Giganta that if she lets the humans go, he's going to let her go free. Of course, the two villains just stare at each other at a beat band before laughing, and Giganta drops them to the bottom of a cliff. Supersaur flies down to save them while Wonderdon and Batsaur fight off the two villains. Giganta actually attempts to eat Batsaur whole, but Wonderdon saves him by using her sword. The pair continue to fight as Supersaur is busy saving the humans. He basically is in complete amazement at how much the other dinosaurs are like him. In a moment that does kind of connect to the other two ones, and I like how they're building like this theme of trust. It's something that it's subtle, but it's there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So what happens is the pair fight each other off until Brontosaur fights with Supersaur until Supersaur wins by just kicking him in the face in a pretty cool moment. But we get to see just how brutal Batsaur is because he interrogates Giganta and Brontosaurus, basically. He uses his rope to nearly knock her off a cliff, but his brutal methods horrify both of the other heroes.
Yeah, like I said, Batsaur goes through an arc in this where he starts off absolutely brutal and then somewhat mellows out. He's still a little brutal, but he absolutely comes around in the end. Not as much as I'd like, but it definitely is interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it's one that really, really works out for the best because again, I really like how for such a short miniseries they gave these characters so much depth, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But you're definitely going to see it start to develop really here because Supersaur saves Giganta because Batsaur kicked her off a cliff, as Batwalker is basically preparing to beat Brontosaurus' head in with a rock. Wonderdon, of course, says that there's another way basically to do it and uses her lesson to make Brontosaurus talk. Oh, go ahead, Angron. I think I know what you're going to say.
Oh my gosh, this might be two things now you mention it. One scene from Wild Robot, minor spoilers, where like Fink tries to get a young Gosling that he and Rod are looking at to fall asleep, and he tries dropping the rock on the kid's head, which brutal. And second, I threw a rock at him.
I was waiting for it. It
was a big rock.
Classic. Go ahead, Shark.
Alternatively, Kala Spider tell him that he's a spider. Kala Starfish tell him that he's a spider and watch the magic happen.
Yep, that would also work. But basically, the three ask Brontosaurus who the Dark Embryo is, It says that he comes from a world similar to Supersaur. He then explains that the dark embryo feeds on flesh and energy, and that it chooses the strongest beings from each world to serve it. It destroys all life from a world and then moves on to the next, that Earth is its final meal before it hatches. It turns out that its power source is human souls, and before we could hear more about him, Gigantia interrupts him and basically picks him up and bites into him for betraying their secret. She says that nothing can stop the dark embryo, as Brontosaurus says that she's right before he slowly dies out. And yeah, like you say, the problem is with the panel, with the art of this too, is that it would look really good, but there's something about the way they do the teeth on the dinosaurs. It's like more realistic, which if the rest of the comic had this style, it wouldn't be a problem. But again, it's the juxtaposition that is so weird.
Yeah, it's definitely jarring seeing human teeth on freaking these dinos. Like, good lordy, Miller, take a step back.
Yeah, exactly. Shark, you were gonna say?
Yeah, can you just imagine someone like Ember seeing this and being like, and I thought my people were primitive.
Yes, exactly. Compared to them,
Nice.
Ember from DC Superheroes is a saint compared to these guys.
Yeah.
But she basically tells him that nothing can stop the dark embryo, as Brontosaurus says she's right before he dies out. We cut back to Black Mantisaurus as he flees the battle, saying that the dark embryo will heal him. Aquaman chases him as Flash Raptor and Green Torch fight off the other villains. And out of all the heroes, Green Torch is probably my second favorite because, number one, Green Lantern is really underrated. Number two, I like how the way that he uses his powers here, like, for example, of course, it's going to be limited, but he still uses it to project a giant stone axe and uses it basically to wail on his opponents in a really cool sequence.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah, again, it's limited, but it makes sense. Like, instead of power rings and whatnot, this is it's basically him just holding a torch and just being like, take that bitch.
Yes, exactly. But the issue ends with basically Black Mantisaurus arriving to a giant purple glowing egg, and he begs to be healed. The issue ends with the egg beginning to hatch as Aquanix watches on, and thankfully this is the end of issue 3 and issue 4, and from here on in, we're back to the traditional art style, much to my relief, because, yeah, looking at this for 4 more issues would have been a little bit of an eyesore, not gonna lie, but thankfully it's in the past now. But even though we're back to the old art style, it's still back to the violence as well, because basically the issue ends with the egg hatching as an arm reaches out and pulls him inside of it. Whatever being is inside the egg eats him, and it spits out Aquanix's trident. He lunges at the egg, but it blasts a stream of red energy at him, blasting him away. Oh, go ahead.
Honestly, that kind of reminds me of the Octoroks from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that eat weapons, derust them, and just spit them back out. It's funny.
That's a good point. I did not make that connection, but wow, that actually could be intentional maybe. But we cut back to Green Torch battling Atrocious Taurus, using his power to make both an axe and a mace. And a really interesting thing, I didn't expect they were going to do it here. Atrocious Taurus, he actually dies in this battle. This is the last we see of him. We basically see him on the ground, his jaw is broken, and he's bleeding out in what might be a reference to Kong, but it's a little too subtle for me to say it. But it is kind of interesting because he's the only villain aside from Brontosaurus that really doesn't make it to like the end portion of it, which is really fascinating.
Oh, so like I just imagine in my head like they're fighting and then King Kong's like, yo, what's going on over here? She's freaking Atrocious Taurus and just like, oh, this bit, oh hell no, I ain't doing this, and just snaps his jaw. There.
This.
It's like all gangster.
That is great. That is fantastic. Wow. So what happens basically in another cute touch, we have an overhead shot as we see Reverse Slash and Jokerzard are seemingly dead because they're lying there with X's for eyes. And I think a thing that's supposed to be funny, and it works. It really does work.
Yeah.
But with the battle won, Green Torch and Flash Raptor go out to see what Aquanix is up to. We then come back to Metropolis, where this is probably the funniest touch for me. Batwalker is using cave paintings on the wall as a version of the Bat computer, which, okay, that is funny. That is clever right there, you know. somebody sat down and basically thought of it, and give them credit. Give them all the credit in the world for that, you know?
Yeah, it's very funny. Oh man, it honestly sounds as ingenious as like a portable bat computer, to be honest.
Yep, too true, too true. But Supersaur tells Batsaur that he has a plan and that they must prepare and fortify for whatever great evil is coming to them. I do like the little panel where they're talking. In the background, you see Gigantia tied up with a little annoyed expression on her face. That is so much fun, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, similar to the baby Batman, she kind of has the same expression and cartoonish design at that moment.
Yeah. Oh my. Oh, Stryker or Math. Sorry.
There was a secondary artist in this issue specifically, John McKell, and he's the one that did all the chibi or the less detailed drawings, and they work for comedic effects.
Out of
Yeah.
curiosity, was he best known for that one series where it's like a little girl in a fantasy land, but she goes full on ballistic with like bombs, machine guns, and whatnot?
I do not know, unfortunately.
I
Okay.
wouldn't know either. But
Yeah.
basically, I do like how Supersaur and Batsaur basically are of two alternate minds, with Supersaur wanting to basically be on the defense, but Batsaur wanting to be on the offense, before the two of them argue over it. Batwalker then takes Wonderdon's lasso from her and uses it to wrap it around Gigantia, forcing her to tell where her master is. She says that it's in the center of the jungle where the trees do not grow and insects do not tread. She says that the dark embryo has used all of them for his dark purpose, and then obsessively repeats that he will always find a way, basically over and over and over. And sadly, this is actually the last we see of Gigantia in the entire comic. She's not killed off, so cool for that. But we also don't see what happens to her, which really a missed opportunity right there. Go ahead, Angron.
Honestly, given the fact that she's not confirmed dead is basically a miracle, since we know what happens to the others. They either get pummeled or get eaten, which, yeah, thankfully she was the lucky one. Let's put it that way.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because she's the only villain who really survives this. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, and let's just say she's lucky because the way the villains in this universe go, it's not pretty, but we'll get to them when we get to them.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
basically went the way of, basically most of them who didn't get pummeled went the way of Chancellor Cole from Spirit Tracks. Let's put it that way.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll definitely get to that. But what happens is Supersaur that they can work together and stop the Dark Embryo, but Batsaur says that he will not be there, and that he's going to find his minions, including Jokerzard, who, of course, killed my parents. My parents are
have any
dead,
idea-
Parappa. Your parents are dead.
Oh gosh,
Had to say
I
that,
get to
sorry.
make this joke as well.
Go ahead, sorry.
Do you have the slightest idea how little that narrows it down?
Nice. But Batsaur, along with his human sidekick, prepare for the battle, with Wonderdon saying that the humans should stay with them, and Supersaur tells him that he should stay too. But Batsaur says that they're merely obstacles on his path to revenge, and that he doesn't really know them. Supersaur asks him if his revenge will make him whole, and in a really cool moment, Batsaur just says yes, which really actually works out. Like I say, it actually is a moment that a lot of the times, someone will say Batman, they'll say, will revenge make you complete? And he just stares in the distance. And here he actually knows, yeah, if I get revenge on this, I will be complete again. So, interesting thing there. Go ahead, Angron.
Stop. Thing you gotta understand about this is basically a primal Batman, as in he's a T-Rex, as he's a giant freaking creature. So basically hear him say, this will make me whole, this will give me a sweet fucking release. It works, because he's a T-Rex, he's a simple creature, and honestly, he's a carnivore, so that's kind of par for the course. But again, this does tie into the fact that he is, in fact, going through an arc where the more he works with Supersaur and Wonderdon and everyone else, the more he kind of realizes that maybe vengeance isn't exactly, great. We'll get more on that a little later, but yeah.
Yep, we definitely will. Wonderdon asks where Batsaur will go, as he said that Giganta told him that he has to see it up high, and in a pretty cool moment, it turns out that his glider is like a Leonardo da Vinci-esque glider, and he uses it to soar in the air with his human sidekick accompanying him. And again, a really cool moment. That's one thing I give this comic credit for, how creative it is. That it takes stuff from the DC mythos that we all know and love, and they just put spins on it that are really, really creative. They could have just done like Flintstones theme. They could have done like, oh, it's Batman's computer, but it's made of rocks. But no, they actually went the extra step to make it all unique, and that's why I give this a lot of credit. I really enjoyed this comic miniseries as a whole, actually, and that's one of the biggest reasons why, I think, because it takes what should be a stupid premise, and it really runs with it.
Yeah, it does a lot of things that are clever, and that actually would work. This is a prehistoric present, as it were. To give you an example of what I mean by that, it's basically what the Paldean Past Paradox Pokemon are. They're modern Pokemon, but with a bit of a prehistoric Flintstone-y take on it, as it were. And here, it honestly works. Like, stuff that nobody would have any idea of thinking up, thought up by heroes like Batman, Superman, and all that stuff. It absolutely was definitely an interesting take on dinosaur superheroes. And I really want to see more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from there. But what happens next, basically, is that Wonderdon tells Supersaur that they have to move the ice of the Great Mountain, as we get her narration again in a neat touch. Her narration talks about how all the dinosaurs here argue with each other, and how she misses the peace of her lands, and how the defenses that they're doing, while being necessary, are not nearly enough.
Yeah.
This is how she's trying to rally all the other dinosaurs to a greater cause, but wonders how she can do with only her weapons and with death coming closer and closer to her. We then cut to Supersaur basically talking with his father and wondering if he's weak and if he should have left alongside Batsaur. Supersaur's father basically tells him that he's a good being and that the world needs to see how good he is, so he should leave and change the world for the better. But we then cut back to Aquanix, basically standing down in front of the giant egg that shoots another energy beam at him. Before he can be attacked, Flash Raptor and Green Torch come in to save him, just as the egg hatches some more, and we get another villain dead, because a giant arm pulls in Reverse Slash and eats him, just before the trio of heroes get out of there, fleeing as it completely hatches. And it's here where we get the main villain of the comic miniseries. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all genders and that, we're introduced to Dark Leo Seed. Yep, go ahead, Shark.
Actually, no. The dark one was Barney. Everything was a plan to get Fred's Fruity Pebbles again.
Oh, no. No, that's
horrible. To go there.
No, that's terrible. Man. That's terrible.
Yeah, but honestly, looking at Dark Kylo's side, his whole design, his whole demeanor, it definitely screams otherworldly invader, and in the most cartoony and honestly kind of kick-ass way possible. Like, Dinosaur Dark Side definitely sounds awesome, and here it's pretty impressive. The cartoony edge kind of softens a little bit of the edge, but there's still an edge, and I like it.
Yeah, I definitely gonna see that, because, and again, his design is so creepy, because he's basically a giant ankylosaur from another world, and we'll just say how huge he is in a shot where he's larger than the volcanoes. Like, this guy is gigantic. Like, he's easily like 50 times the size of the other dinosaurs, and it really works out to make this guy just so imposing.
Yeah.
But the issue ends with him saying that he will crush all of those trying to rise up against him, then flies off to try Mascara, to attack. And of course, issue 5 begins with Wonderdon realizing that Dark Leo's side is going to go to her home and beg Supersaur to help her, but he says that he must remain with the humans, which, boo, weak, But we'll get to more of that in a little bit. She flies off on Thunderbeak as Supersaur stays behind. We cut to a Batwalker flying with the sidekick as the kid points out that Dark Leo's side is below them. we get a really funny moment. Probably the funniest line in the miniseries here is when Batsaur basically says, "Great Hammond's beard," when he realizes that he's understanding what the child is saying, which is it that the child is learning dinosaur, or is that he's learning human? But Great Hammond's beard, of course, is a reference to Jurassic Park, which, okay, I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for a good reference like that. That got a good laugh out of me. Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Angron.
Alan. That would definitely be an interesting reference. Also, like at some point there's like a dinosaur amusement park or like area where dinosaurs can all just commune and be awesome with each other.
Yeah.
We want
Sadly, we
that
don't get
in
that
this
here,
world.
but it'll be interesting. Oh, go ahead, Stryker.
I just realized something.
Go
What?
ahead.
Since you mentioned that and the joke that Angron said, do either of you realize that one version of the Flash is Barry Allen?
Yes.
Oh, that they could have done that. They should have done that. They should have had like him on the glider, and Batsaur turns him and he says, "Alan." That would have been perfect.
That would have been amazing.
If only they did it.
Awesome.
Such a missed opportunity there.
Yes. Oh gosh.
But Wonder Dawn catches up to Dark Leo's side, and she actually smacks him in the face with her sword, but the attack doesn't even faze him at all. Bad Sword goes off to help her, but stops when he turns and sees Joker Zard and goes off to fight him instead. We cut to Trimascara, where Dark Leo's side arrives. Sadly, one of the Amazons is a fatality here as he devours one of them, before he threatens Wonder Dawn's mother next, only for the heroine to show up and actually stop him by grabbing onto his tail. Oh, go ahead and run.
A moment of silence for the lone extra Triceratops that got eaten.
Shame.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyways.
We then cut back to Batsaur and his sidekick making their way through the jungle before the child notices tracks. Batsaur tells the child to be careful before she's kidnapped by an off-panel figure. And of course, it turns out to be the work of Joker Zard, which we have a panel of Bat Walker screaming his name, which looks kind of silly, but I think that's kind of the intent. Yeah, it's like realistic. This Alistair basically screaming out "Joker Zard" like that to the sky, and again, it's silly, but it's silly because it's serious, and it works out so well.
Yeah, they're taking it seriously, ergo, it's hilarious.
Yep. But we then cut to Supersaur and his father, as his father takes him to the spaceship he came in. He shows Supersaur a small chip and tells his son he was keeping it until he feels like he was ready to see it. And it's here where we get a holographic version of a dinosaur version of Jor-El that appears and tells Supersaur about the description of their home planet, which I guess in this universe would have been called Krypton-Saur or something like that. Sorry about that. But
Oh gosh.
he basically hopes that his son will find love in all other places before telling him that he'll spread it wherever he goes, and that basically he's meant to be something more than that. And a really good moment, again, with Superman seeing Jor-El and basically bonding with her and that. And it makes me wonder one thing. Would Marlon Brando have voiced a dinosaur? I think he would have, because that guy was crazy enough to do anything.
I absolutely want to freaking hear that now. Is Marlon Brando still around?
Nope, dead for 20 years.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
But what happens is Supersaur realizes who he is and flies off to help with the others. We then cut to Joker Zard having taken the human child, and he goes to alert the Horde before letting out a loud screech. We cut back to Wonder Dawn attempting to fight Dark Leo's side, but he merely just swats her away. She's knocked into the temple and she realizes that she's not strong enough, but then she sees Ares' armor and she puts it on, which of course ends up giving her way more strength. But before she can battle him, Supersaur arrives and smashes into Dark Leo's side, before he apologizes to Wonder Dawn about not coming to help. She asks who they are, with they being off-panel, and it's here that the rest of the Jurassic League show up, who are just some friends he made along the way there, which, on one hand, it's kind of weird that we didn't get to see the others' reaction to Supersaur, but at the same time, you don't really need it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it's like basically, you know what the Superman or Supersaur in this case is inherently good, and he can get them to help him with that. And yeah, I really do like it's a show don't tell kind of thing, and I give him all the credit for that.
Yeah, a little bit more detail would have been nice, but honestly, I like that they're just like, yeah, this is our planet. We're gonna freaking kick ass while doing it.
Yep. But what happens is Dark Leo's side narrows his eyes at this. We then cut to a panel that for me was unintentionally funny again, with Jokerzard just screeching. And I think it's just the way it's done it does look a little bit silly, but again, that might have been the point. But it turns out the humans wonder what that noise was. The ground begins to shake as an army of monstrous dinosaurs arrive, and they all begin knocking down the walls. Now, these are just kind of generic looking dinosaurs. None of them are based on any DC villains or anything like that, which kind of a shame, but at the same time you can kind of see why, because they probably wanted to keep it simple.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
they're
Angron.
probably just like all the roughneck dinosaurs of the Growltham or whatnot. Since he is, a Growltham resident. Yes, I'm saying Growltham without snickering. Oh shit.
Nice.
Sure.
But, yep, go ahead.
Yeah, something I noticed that maybe was on purpose, maybe noticed that the design of these dinosaurs looks a lot like one of Ben 10's aliens, Humongosaurus. So
I was going to make that connection. Oh my gosh.
Wow. I did not connect that first, but wow, that does make a lot of sense. I wonder if, again, maybe it was an intentional reference.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, they are both Warner Brothers properties, I think.
For the most part.
But anyway, the humans prepare to attack with spears before two of them say, "Look, in the sky, it's a bird. No, a pterodactyl." But in a really neat little bit of subversion, it turns out not to be Supersaur, but Batsaur. As one of them says, "It's a bat." And this is where the issue ends, with Batsaur making his way into the village, getting ready to battle all of the other dinosaurs. And it's now that we're finally getting to the sixth and final issue, so let's get to it. Oh, Angron, you were saying?
I hear that, and all I can think of is that one scene of Alfred in Batman versus TMNT with a mug of Superman. It's honestly kind of funny.
It definitely is. But the issue begins with Batsaur fighting off against Jokerzard before being grabbed by one of Dark Leozide's henchmen. The wall explodes as all the evil dinosaurs make their way inside. Batsaur tells the others to get behind him, but the humans also plan on fighting back. We then come back to Dark Leozide, who does not understand why the other heroes are fighting back, and swats Green Torch away. Supersaur tells Dark Leozide that he will not destroy their home, and he actually manages to punch the guy so hard he actually flies away. Dark Leozide reasons that he cannot beat all of them alone and flies off to refuel. How he will do that is a moment we will see in a minute. However, we then cut back to Batsaur and the humans. They're all backed off near a cliff, and Jokerzard finally recognizes him as the one who parents he ate. And we get another panel of the really crying chibi baby dinosaur, which doesn't look any less silly, let's be real.
Yeah.
It looks about the same as it did in the first issue, which points for continuity, I guess.
Yep. Continuity.
Yep,
In
exactly.
the background, though.
That too. But Batsaur lunges at Jokerzard, and he punches him hard before all the other dinosaurs gang up against him. However, the humans get a really badass moment too. It's something that I'm glad they put this in, because again, it feels more realistic that way, because the humans launch all their spears at the dinosaurs, impaling a lot of them. It's like the human residents of Mech Arg Polis, they have a pretty high kill count now.
Yes. Also, like, good lordy, I'm just imagining this as a pretty kick-ass, like, early Justice League sort of comic. Like, I'm just seeing this in my mind, and it is just amazing to look at. If this were ever a Justice League origin comic.
If only it was. But basically, what happens is Batwalker's sidekick. She manages to get on top of Jokerzard and smacks him in the face with his spear. Basically, what happens, of course, is Batwalker manages to punch Jokerzard off the edge of a cliff before he's picked up by Dark Leozide. And it's here we get the moment that probably shocked me the most, because we've seen it happen before, but to who it happens to is really weird, because Dark Leozide promptly eats Jokerzard in a moment that shocks me. Not because he ate him, because we saw it with the other villains, but the fact that it would just kill off the Joker like that.
Like, good lordy, they already killed off a bunch of other villains to their respective heroes. Like, we got freaking Atrociasaurus, freaking Black Mantisaurus, Reverse Slash, all that. And yet the only one to survive this is Gigantia, which she's a pretty prevalent figure in the DC universe, in spite of, being relatively simple,
Right.
but it's pretty jarring. It's pretty jarring, like seeing most of the major players getting eaten and yet her just remaining, which props to that, but still, it's pretty odd. Anyways, Shark?
Nom nom nom. Joker, make me strong.
Oh gosh, yeah, I do. More
oh,
delicious.
Oh god. That's great. Now I'm gonna think of Dark Leo's side with the voice of Heavy.
I want to see that, honestly. If they ever decide to cast someone for Dark Hylos, I want the Heavy to voice freaking Dark Hylos. That would be awesome.
Same. It's such a missed opportunity there. But Dark Leo's side also eats his entire army, which, again, that moment I wasn't as surprised because we saw it, but still, it is still, like, just shows how ruthless he is that he would literally do that. But he gets enough strength that seemingly nothing can stop him. Supersaur arrives and tells Batsaur that they all must work together to defeat him, and it's here you think that the moral is going to be, oh, if we work together, we can all beat any obstacle, but no, they don't. They all try to attack him with various means, but none of them can do any damage to him at all. Go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, just like, good lordy. He's basically just Unicron, but with people. Like, it's honestly pretty interesting how this guy is basically just the war machine of the freaking DC universe.
He pretty much is.
Yep. But basically, Dark Leo's seed actually goes so far as to pick up Batsaur and prepares to eat him. But Supersaur punches into him so hard that he manages to drop the other hero. But of course, Supersaur realizes what he must really do, and he punches Dark Leo's side so hard that they both fly into space. And it's here where I have to make one obligatory reference for what happens with Supersaur, and I have to do this, I'm sorry. You are who you choose to be. Superman.
That's pretty much what happens.
Yeah,
Yes.
it is. It is pretty much the end of Iron Giant, because what happens is Batsaur narrates. It says that there's forces in the universe that exist to create pain, but there's also forces that fight back. And yeah, Supersaur punches Dark Leo's seed so hard, basically in space and then back down to Earth. Their impact ends up creating a new continent, as well as seemingly killing both of them off. Which, spoiler, there's a reason I say seemingly here, but we'll get to that in a minute. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
Oh, so when Superman creates a new continent, it's awesome. But when Lex Luthor tries to make a continent, it's suddenly evil.
Oh man, I did not make that connection. Wow, that is a good one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Applause for that, because wow. If only we had a dinosaur version of Lex Luthor here, then he could have gone wrong. That was a classic meme.
Yeah. Also, like, seeing Superman making the new continent and, like, by crashing into the Earth, it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition to, like, the freaking the freaking meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs, or at least instigated the wipeout many years ago. It's honestly pretty cool that this time the impact is doing good for the people of this planet instead of, like, doing another extinction level thing, like, in history.
Yeah, exactly. I give him a lot of credit for that, And what happens, of course, is Batsaur's narration says that Supersaur has shown him hope, and that he's now trying to work alongside the humans with the other heroes to protect all of their world. However, the comic miniseries ends with Supersaur's arm bursting out of the volcano, showing that, of course, he is still alive because they would never kill off Superman except when they did.
Yeah. Also, again, Batsaur coming full circle here. Like, he goes from being this uber edgy loner to basically just being like, maybe people aren't too bad. I'll still do my own thing, but maybe I'll tone back just a little bit. It's very great.
Yeah, it definitely is. But the Jurassic League was a successful miniseries as it is officially part of DC canon because it exists as Earth 27. It made a cameo in a Flash comic as one of the alternate worlds where it exists, as well as a Batman Brave and the Bold comic where Booster Gold accidentally travels back in time, and because of time travel shenanigans, he makes it so where humans would never existed and dinosaurs do not go extinct, so the Jurassic League are the heroes in the 22nd century as well.
I want to see that episode. Good lordy.
Yeah, it was
we
actually
should
a
cover
comic,
that.
but it actually was a comic because this is way after, of course, the TV show. But it's
Aw.
cute for what it is, like I say. But
It
the
is.
fact that it was so popular is really, really great. And to point out how popular it is getting one of the DC animated movies. Now, whether it's going to be more child friendly or if it's going to be as violent as this, we don't know. However, they announced it last year. There hasn't been any word of it since. But, of course, we'll have to see what happens with it. And, man, I hope it's good. If it's like a tenth as good as the comic, it's going to be great. It really, really is. Because I am shocked how much I enjoyed this story.
Yeah, this was great. The pacing could be a little all over the place and whatnot, but good lordy, I loved it from beginning to end. It was amazing. Like, I want to see more of this universe explored, expanded upon, the whole enchilada, to be honest. Stryker?
The only thing I hope is that it's not like the Killing Joke, to be honest.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
I
won't be
feel
as bad
that.
as that movie.
Yeah, I
No,
feel
it
that.
can't. It can't, thankfully. Oh, go ahead, Math.
People like superheroes. People like dinosaurs. Yeah, I got no clue why this comic was popular.
Yeah,
Nice.
exactly. And this wasn't the last time that a superhero team became a group of dinosaurs, but we'll have to talk about a different version of that in July. Wink, wink.
Uh-huh.
But for now, it's time for the question of the week, which is, what is your favorite Elseworlds story? Which is basically stories like of Superman, Batman, etc., set in alternate universes. I'm going to go first, and because I'm the film nerd here, I have maybe two options, which both of which are really good. Well, maybe three, but first off, the ones I'm going to pick are Batman Nosferatu
Oh.
and Superman Metropolis, which is not Metropolis as in Metropolis Superman, it's Metropolis as in Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Oh, that's
They
interesting.
also did a Wonder Woman version where I think they did Theta Bara movies, but I gotta look that up. But it's just fascinating to take like the world of these movies that, let's face it, pre-exist superheroes by easily 20 plus years. And the fact that they actually put that in is really fascinating. Especially because the original Superman was a bad guy. And he ruled Metropolis, which is called Metropolis because of the Fritz Lang movie.
Well, damn. That is interesting.
Superman was a bald psychic who was lorded over a city. This is in like a short story in that. That technically was the first appearance of him. And it is crazy to think that like they actually saw this and they thought, let's combine both of them. And it's something that you think would be stupid. You think that it really wouldn't work. And yet, it does. It really, really does work.
Yeah, that is definitely interesting to hear. I never heard of this version of Metropolis before. I might check it out.
Yeah. It's basically, it combines the Superman mythos with the Fritz Lang version. It has like the machine mensch and all that. And it's really, really good. And of course, Batman Nosferatu is great as well, which, again, German expressionism and Batman are like, they work so well. Like, I'm shocked they haven't done like Batman versus Dr. Caligari because there's a lot you could do with that. There was a lot you could do with that with like Joker as Cesare. And yeah, that's my first pick. My second pick is going to be a bit more interesting, and that is Batman Gotham by Gaslight, which is probably the first official Elseworlds story, and yet it's really, really good because it's a Victorian-era Batman fighting off against Jack the Ripper, and it takes these characters and it does different versions of them, which are really, really fascinating, basically, that who the Ripper turns out to be and stuff like that, and how Batman is studying with Sigmund Freud and stuff, and it really is fascinating just to see this iconic character in a different time period. Like, this is probably the first Elseworlds story, and honestly, it's still one of the best It really, really is.
Nice.
I mean, it's considered one of the greatest Batman comics, period, and you can see why, because, I mean, Batman and steampunk, it actually does work out really, really well. And there is an animated version of it, which I didn't think was so bad. It does change the identity of the Ripper. It is very, very different, but it's good. It still is a pretty good movie, and the animation on it is really great as well. But yeah, those are my choices: Batman, Nosferatu, Superman, Metropolis, and Batman, Gotham by Gaslight. There's gonna be my three choices, and Angron, what would your picks be?
I have waited a long time to talk about this,
Go ahead.
but I am absolutely going to have to say Batman versus the TMNT. Good lordy.
Oh yes,
Agreed.
yes.
Yes, like, there is just so much here. Where do I even begin? For starters, Batman teaming up with the TMNT. Kick ass. We got, okay, we don't have April, we just have the Turtles, but damn, it's amazing. We got the Bat family, and just all the ways they interact with each other is pretty freaking amazing. But the big showstopper, not Shredder versus Batman, though that was absolutely badass. Not the Turtles
Indeed
versus
it
Ra's
was.
al Ghul, which was also amazing. Not them doing the Turtlemobile and fighting a bunch of mutated Foot Clan / League assassins. The Gotham villains getting mutated. Poison Ivy, Scarecrow as a crow, like Poison Ivy as literal plant. Even I want to reiterate, freaking Bane as a tiger, freaking Two-Face as a two-faced cat, like Joker as a cobra, Harley as a hyena. It's definitely a fan favorite for a reason, but easily my favorite concept. Period. Mr. Freeze as a polar bear. Good lordy, there is so much you could do with that alone. Like, yeah, there's a lot you could do with the others as well. Like, you could have freaking the Riddler as possibly a ring-tailed lemur. You could have let me think here. You could probably have Solomon Grundy as either a bear or a sloth bear even. But yeah, that right there, Mr. Freeze's polar bear, is absolutely what I wanted to talk about the most because it's amazing. Like, I'm absolutely a sucker for polar bears, and he 100% stole the show for me in that regard. Like, not too much, but good lordy, that is just one of the reasons why I like this film a lot. It's easily one of, if not the best DC collabs you could possibly imagine. So I'm definitely going to say that Elseworld. If not freaking a bunch of others like the Jurassic League and debatably, I kind of want to say, I forget what else off the top of my head because I'm too excited for this. But yeah, Batman versus TMNT, hands down.
Definitely. One thing I will say is Hyena Harley is amazing.
Yes.
Best thing about the entire movie, the entire comic, actually.
Oh.
That's just in my opinion, though.
Yep, we hear you.
Honestly, I haven't read the comic, but goddamn, the movie, like, I really wanted them to explore that avenue a bit more. Like, we got the villains as mutants; they were not exactly turned back. I didn't want to see that, hands down.
Yep, exactly. So basically, let's see, Math. What would your pick be?
All right, so I need to explain this one a little bit first.
Go ahead.
So most people think of Elseworlds as those one-off comics or those one-off animated movies that are completely and totally far gone from everything else. To me, Elseworld means not of the Prime canon, and Earth Prime is what DC uses as their Prime canon. Earth 12, which to me is an Elseworld, is what they classify the DC animated universe as. So I count that as an Elseworld thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Having said that, Batman Beyond.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I love that series. Terry McGinnis is actually a great sort of introduction to the idea of Batman, not like an actual Batman, but get someone into an idea of, okay, this is what Batman is supposed to be. And I always thought that Bruce Wayne was actually a really good mentor figure more than anything else.
I very
Got a
much want
surprisingly
to.
good rogues gallery. The animation is fantastic. Uh, uh, Terry is just a really good character in general. And Will Friedle, I'm sorry, not Will Friedle. Will Friedle is just a great voice actor, and this was his first big voice acting role to show just how good an actor he was and the range that he had as this character.
I absolutely love the Burn It First. We got the Justice League, we got that, and we got Static Shock, we got Zeta, we got freaking Crypto the Superdog. Like, this is freaking nostalgia right here for this guy and Math. Like, how could anyone not love this?
Yeah, easily. And one thing I will say too is Batman Beyond is one of those things that where a silly concept can be made great because literally they just said make Batman in high school, and we got this, which is
Yes.
amazing, like mind blowing, even.
Yep.
Just
I
how
unfortunately never grew up with that, but I know why people love this.
You
Same,
absolutely
same.
should go back and watch some of the shows. Crypto, Batman, Superman, the whole enchilada.
I watched Crypto. It was good.
Yes.
same. So basically, that's a really great choice right there. Let's see, Shark, what would your pick be?
Mine's gonna be a little more unusual because it's something that only was one movie, and I did mention that it has my favorite version of Batman before, and that's the Lego Batman universe from the movie.
Nice.
Yes. That's
I
another
love
great
how-
one.
Yeah, well, first the first two Lego movies were greatly animated, and the world was great to see. But I love how, despite being a more comical take on of the Batman world, the characters are still deep. Like, yeah, Batman is pompous, he's full of himself, but that's an alternative way of him to hide that sensible part that's still hurt by the loss of his parents, and the whole thing that of the Joker, that the Joker does it because he wants Batman's attention. It's like hilarious, but you
Yeah,
can kind of see where it comes from.
Imp.
yeah. It's just let's not forget, of course, the opening song too is amazing.
Or the other one about darkness and
Yeah.
no
No
parents.
parents, darkness, the opposite of light.
Super
Classic,
rich.
classic.
Kind of makes it better. This guy would absolutely cry in a Ferrari.
Classic.
Yeah.
Man, I like I say that too is one of the things where it honestly makes you a little upset that the Lego movies just stopped when they did because they were all so fun. Even like the Lego Movie
Yeah.
2 had a lot of good moments, and
Yeah, Ninjago's the weaker of the bunch, but even it had a few great moments, like Jackie
Like-
Chan as Master Wu.
I
like
think
even the
problem was that
weakest.
people got
I'm sorry, go ahead.
tired because they would release a Lego movie like every 6 months, and it's like by the
Yeah,
fourth
that probably
time,
happened as well.
And
Yeah,
it's kind of sad because one of the movies planned was going to be like a Lego version of It's a Mad World. So
yeah, exactly. But like I said, that is a great choice right there because it's a love letter to Batman. It really is.
yeah,
And on another plus side, we finally got Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent. We were so close to getting that, but then they recast him for Batman Forever.
Aww.
Yep, but we finally got it, so we finally got it there. But no, that is a great choice right there because it's got so many funny moments, and the part where, again, spoilers for a nearly 10-year-old movie, but the part where they bring in the other villains is, I'm sorry, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bring
got-
the,
Yeah, they got Orca and freaking Killer Croc. Of course, that would be amazing.
Yes.
and I believe it's the
I
first
love how
appearance
it was
of
like,
Orca.
Oh,
I'm
you're
sorry.
just making them up. Nope, are real. Google it.
Yep,
Yeah, it's worth the
and the
Google.
Condiment King and everybody. Sure. Classic. But yeah, that is a great choice right there. Amazing. So, let's see. Stryker, do we do your choice?
No.
I'm not.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah. I'm not
Sorry, go ahead.
sure if this is counted, as an elsewhere, elsewhere, but like I haven't read it yet. But I love the idea because I even played DC Universe Online, and they had a whole segment dedicated to it. The Batman Who Laughs.
Huh.
Nice, nice.
Basically, it's a horror version of Batman where
Oh.
he's the where he pretty much is the Joker in this.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Is it the Batman Who
Same.
Laughs?
Yep,
Yeah,
that's what he's
I
talking
said,
about.
said.
Batman Who
He
Laughs.
said that.
Oh, I did not hear that. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a horror buff, so this was a fun one for me.
Nice. Now I'm imagining Resident Evil and DC. That would be awesome.
Yep. But yeah, like I say, that's one that again, I like it, and I also like how the Joker in other continuities is so disgusted and affronted with the Batman Who Laughs. It is like the one thing that scares the Joker.
That's a huge turnoff for the Clown Prince of Crime people.
Yeah. But he's legitimately scared shitless of Batman Who Laughs, and it makes sense, you know.
Oh
Yeah.
it does.
But yeah, no, that's a great choice right there. And
I
yep,
am
so
the one who laughs.
yep. Oh
Yeah.
God, yeah, that should be an AU like DC versus Breaking Bad,
Oh my gosh. Jesse.
Batman versus
I'm
Walter White.
Not so
Yeah.
fast, Walter White.
Yeah, classic. But with that being said, it is now time for the patent pending Dragoness Scale, and today we are ranking 2 characters, as previously said, with Wonder Dawn and Giganta.
Yes.
Now, my ranking, like, I've gushed about them so much. They're great characters. Even Giganta, as much as it's a shame she's disappeared, for the little that we get is great. One problem, and the problem is a big one, it's issue 3. To me, I don't know why they did it. It's a shame. Maybe there's some explanation, like we can find out from one of the writers or that, but I don't know. For me, it's really just a shame that it happened because it's going to knock down their score down a point, respectively, which Wonder Dawn is going to get a 9 out of 10. She was going to get a 10. She really was, if not for basically what happened with the 3rd issue with the design. And same thing with Gigantia. She was actually going to get in 7 out of 10, but I am going to give her a 6, again, because of the 3rd issue's art. Just looking so off, you know? It's one of those things that it really shouldn't be such a turnoff, but it really is. And it's such a shame because otherwise, characters are great, you know, personalities are great. Again, it's a shame Giganta just disappears after the 4th issue. And we don't even get a mention of her, which is really weird, or like a flashback or anything.
Yeah.
Yep, kind of a shame, but regardless, Wonder Dawn, if not, again, for issue 3, absolutely 100% would have been a perfect score. Like, she's all the good parts of Wonder Woman, and she's a buff and thick dinosaur. What's not to love?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, that'll be my pick. Angron, what will yours be?
Yeah, I am definitely going to have to agree with you that issue 3 definitely dampened Wonder Dawn a tiny bit in terms of design, but overall, she absolutely gets a high score from me. Like, she's basically Wonder Woman, but as a Triceratops, and they do a lot with it. Like, the designs, the character, like, the overall look, how she uses her stuff. Like, it's honestly pretty amazing, and I want to see more of that. Giganta, on the other hand, yeah, I agree. Yeah, she definitely needed a bit more time, or at least some form of acknowledgement that, like, she was still there and, like, probably, like, either insane from, like, being freed from Darkyla's side, or just, you know, doing her own thing because she's free now and she's just basically her own dinosaur because of it. But yeah, I think the most appropriate scores here would be 9 out of 10 for Wonder Dawn, hands down. Keep that train rolling. And 7 out of 10 for Giganta. She looks cool. She's pretty big, which I like big dinosaurs, and I cannot lie. And yeah, those are going to be my scores for them. Next.
Okay, let's see here. Math, what would you give them?
I'm going to keep the train rolling with Wonderdon at the very least, and it's basically for the exact same reasons. As I said earlier, I really like her design. Not just that it's big, buff, thick like that, but that it's very well proportioned, and you feel like, oh, this is how a character like this would be built in the style of universe. They actually took a lot of time and care to design this character to look really, really good. And I really appreciate that. The issue being, well, issue 3, and ugh.
Yeah,
It's
issue
like
3,
going
definitely.
from the way I have off kind of things. It's like going from a PS4 or PS3 game down to the N64 and going, how did people not go blind during that era?
I would
It-
honestly say Commodore 64 would be a little more accurate, not N64.
Probably.
But I am a Nintendo
Yeah,
diehard, so don't at
But
me.
anyway,
Going a
continue.
little far, but
Continue, yeah.
But yeah, the action and the style that they use for issue 3 is just painful, and I wish that she wasn't in that. In its own thing, the artist having designed the characters from scratch probably would have looked good, not for this particular thing, and that's why she gets docked a point. Otherwise, loved every other issue, and her characterization is really great throughout the whole thing. Giganta is a 6 as well.
Okay.
I was generally okay with her design. It was just the problem is it was a little bit too simple. It was just giant body with dinosaur head more than anything else, but it was very well executed until issue 3, and the problem is most of her fight scenes are in issue 3, so that really hurts her more than it does Wonder Dawn. And then there's personality there, but not too terrible much, and especially because she just disappears at the end of it. That really sucks. I did not like that they just forgot about her at the end.
Same. What a missed opportunity. Like, at least have her in like the last panel. Maybe she's a heroine now. Maybe she's gonna fight them for revenge or something, but don't just drop her like that, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Same. But good score. Let's see, Stryker, what would you give them?
honestly, a lot of I also do have a problem with issue 3, but it didn't bother my score, to be honest. It didn't do anything.
Go ahead.
For me, Wonder Dawn is honestly like a 9.
Oh, keep the train going.
Because she actually like is actually the reason why I'm more interested in
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, to be honest. I never
Yeah.
was a Wonder Woman fan before until now.
Me neither, but at the very least, I have a respect for Wonder Woman as both a character and a superhero. She's basically a woman's rights advocate, and hands down, she went from that to basically being a story about basically being a country folk to a city person and trying to make the world better for it, like Zootopia, except human and Greek.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. I'm just never as big a fan as many people out there, like especially how so many men enjoy her for obvious reasons. But for me,
Yeah.
I'm just like I just never got it for some reason. But with Wonder Dawn, I was more like, she's cute.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So
I
what
just
score
thought
did you get?
I
Oh,
just thought her characterization was much better than Wonder Woman herself, actually.
Yeah,
I can see that.
It's still Wonder Woman for the most part,
It is still Wonder Woman, I'm gonna say that, yes.
but as a dinosaur now.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, for me, yeah, I'm going with a 9 for her, and for Giganta, that's gonna be a 7, because she needed more time.
Yep,
Yep.
definitely makes sense. And Shark, what would you give her?
Well, as for me, it's gonna be interesting because okay, let's start with the Wonder Dawn. Yeah, everything that's been said, like she's big, but as I mentioned before, like her suit actually, the way she looks, it actually makes me think of warrior. This is a warrior woman, not so much. I mean, yes, superhero, but the main thing is warrior.
I
Yeah,
hear you say warrior woman, but it actually comes out as Wario woman.
Oh God.
It does.
Wah. But anyways, it
Yeah.
continues. Sorry.
Yeah, she's probably one of the most important characters in the comics. She gets a lot to do, and in her case, issue 3 doesn't bother me as much because she's in other 5 issues, and she's almost in every single scene of every single one. So, okay, I can forgive that there's an issue where she looks odd, and unfortunately, it's not what I'm going to say about the next character, but yeah,
Yeah.
for me, I'll be the one breaking the train, but higher because I'm gonna give her a 10, a perfect score.
Awesome.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Nice,
That's
nice.
Giganta. Now, while Wonder Dawn had a lot of other issues outside of issue 3, issue 3 is where Giganta has the most quote unquote screen time or comic time, and yeah, that's definitely gonna hurt your score because most of the time you don't look your best. I'm just gonna say it like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, again,
Yeah.
she gets no closer. She just disappears, and that's about it. So basically, I'm going to take the usual 6 of 7 that we give to her. I'm taking a point to give a 10 to Wonder Woman, and I'm giving Giganta a 5 because of that.
Okay.
You know, to be honest, I might honestly give Wonder Dawn a 10 out of 10 as well. She's grown on me a lot.
All good, all good. Change the score. So, okay. So, that'll be it for this week's episode. If you have any questions, or if you want to basically tell us what you think the upcoming animated movie will do, and if it will do this justice, haha, you can feel free to email us at fierydiscourse@outlook.com. Visit us on Twitter at twitter.com/fierydiscourse. Visit us on Blue Sky at bluesky@fierydiscourse. Be sure to subscribe to the Fiery Discourse YouTube channel and subscribe to the playlist. Hit the bell icon, like the videos, comment. Any and all help is appreciated. Also, one of our co-hosts, Lucky Evie, is looking to go to a group home in the UK. Excuse me. We'll have a link for that in the description. Any and all help with him will be appreciated as well. Next week, we're going to be talking about the 2002 Henry's World episode, Doris's Day. Sadly, this is not related to Star Trek The Next Generation's episode, Data's Day, although I wish it was.
That's interesting.
But yeah, this is the first stop-motion dragoness, not dinosaur, dragoness that we are talking on the podcast. Because I believe all the stop-motion creatures we talked about before have been dinosaurs, so definitely be interesting to see how she's done, and stop-motion in general, because this will be the first fully stop-motion show we'll talk about since Gumby, which is about like a year ago.
Yeah, Gumby was the first one we covered.
Yep. But this is the first like a dragoness, because Gumby was also a dinosaur in that. But that'll be a lot of fun for that one. And until next week, thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.
Yep.
Bye.
Later.
See you all next week for Henry's World. See you then.